So we've been upstairs, we've had a look at a couple of displays, and I think you probably had a look at a few more displays as well, some of you. That's okay. But we want to concentrate on those two that I showed you, okay? The old computer, CSIRAC, and the artificial intelligence display. Okay. And what I asked you to do before we started, or while you were looking, was to think of questions, right? A question you might ask about what you saw. Okay, so has everybody got a question in mind? Yeah? Okay, so what I want you to do is to think about that question and get it straight in your mind, okay? What your question is asking. Okay, now I want you to turn to the person next to you. So we're going to go in pairs like this, right? Pairs, pair, pair, threesome, okay? You guys are going to have to be three. And I want you each to explain to the other what your question is, okay? And then between you, I want you to make a decision. Did you, both of you, like one of those questions a bit more than the other? So don't be precious about your own question, right? If the other person has a question that gets you thinking, hey, that's a great question, well, you can agree to that. Or maybe you can find a question which brings together both of your questions. So maybe you'll come up with a new question, okay? So that's your task for now. Each tell the other your question and then try to decide on a single question your pair is going to work with, okay?
So I saw the big computer,
How are you going?
how would people have access to it? It probably wasn't very many, so you just so big, like, I don't know what gave you the right to do
You guys decided a question?
so big and powerful?
Have you told each other your questions? And what did you think? Did one of them stand out? Can you find a way? Were they very alike, those questions? No. Okay, so you're going to have to decide which one you're going to go with.
Yeah, that's what it meant, but how did it know what letter you're doing by reading it?
On your slide, I like the chess thing that they
Right. So have you got a question about that?
Well, no,
So,
that's just yes, no question.
our questions were quite different. My question was, in 1969 there was a robot. Was it as advanced or more advanced or less advanced as the one that went to the moon in the same year, because it seems a bit less advanced.
Right. And what was your question?
How long did it take to make CR?
Right. And have you got a question that you're going to ask between you? You've got to talk about that, okay? How are we going? Have people got a single question in their pair? Right. Okay, so we're going to do this again, right? Each pair is going to talk to the pair next to them. So we've got a 4, a 4, a 4, and you guys are a 3 again. Okay, so you... Yeah, I know. So you're going to work on your question, okay? And again, you want a single question for the whole group. A single question for the whole group. Tell me about what you're thinking.
Our question is my question because I was the only one who actually got a question. was it a job to create the paper strips with punched with holes with make code that you insert into the computer?
Okay, was it?
And like you had so a typing, so like a web so a typing thing.
Yep.
There's a line of code and it has it in the shop for like a lot of money.
You're in this group. That's a long question, right? Can you shorten it? Can you make it a nice little short question?
Did people make codes?
Did people? Yeah, okay. Just discuss how you're going to phrase that question, okay?
Yeah.
So you want a nice short question, okay?
Yeah, what if you were just working in
How are you going? You're getting it to a single question?
We've just both shared our.
Sorry?
We've both shared our.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So, how did it read the information and how did it,
Let's say, how did the chess machine read the other person's?
You got your single question?
No,
No? Are you getting close?
not really.
Why not?
Because the raising that really good.
Well,
Because ours was, how did they get all that, like, how did they fit all the big, like, in the one, like, computers are evolving so much technology-wise, but, like, they're getting smaller and smaller compared to, like, one of those, that big computer that was, everything. And also, the smaller computers are now, like, better quality and have more information.
okay, so
And
you
then
want...
their question was,
Yeah.
our question was, how they got, so this guy had a theory that they were going to like combine computer knowledge with us, like put it into us, so we wanted to know how they would do that.
Right, okay. So is there any way of getting those questions together?
Not really.
Right, so you're going to have to decide on one of them. Yeah, okay. You guys are all right now? You got your single question? You're okay? Well, hang on. I'll get it off you in a minute, okay?
How it would read the dots.
Are you there now?
How long did it take to process the dots? To actually read the computer?
yeah, how long did it take to read the information to feed into the machine?
Okay. Okay, so you've got a single question. Yep, okay.
First and three.
Where are you? You're the last group.
We're deciding fire rockets. Yeah, you're on 1 point. Use your chair.
You'll get another one, you get yeah.
Okay, can we come back into the circle now, please? Back into the circle. Now, because this is being recorded, you'll need the microphone when you speak. So, somebody here has the question? Right.
Our question was, how far will artificial intelligence go, and should we be concerned?
Okay, thank you. Your group.
Once you feed the holes into the machine, how long did it take to process the holes and know what you were writing, and then say yes?
Hey,
and then
let's keep it quite short. Can we make this short? Once you feed the holes into the machine,
how long did it take to process the answer?
okay, your group. Rock, paper, scissors came up with a single question, did it?
Our idea was how are they going to put artificial intelligence like into us?
I'm not in your
our question was it a job back then to make code, and was it a good job to have?
Okay, so those are the 4 questions there. Let's have a look at them. And I want you to be thinking about which of these you think would be the most interesting to go into. Okay, so number 1, how far will artificial intelligence go, and should we be concerned? Question 2, once you feed the holes into the machine, how long did it take to process the answer? Question 3, how are they going to put artificial intelligence into us? And question 4, was it a job back then to make code, and was it a good job to have? Okay, so just think for a moment, which of those do you think would be the most interesting question for our discussion? Okay, just think yourself, don't discuss it with others, just think it for yourself, okay? We're going to have a vote. Doesn't have to be your question, remember? It's the one you think's most interesting to discuss. Just put your hand like that when you have made up your mind. All right, we're all ready to go. So who thinks number 1 is the most interesting question? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't think we have to take any more votes, do you? That's the majority. Okay, so how far will artificial intelligence go, and should we be concerned? You guys, that was, whose question was it originally? Right, tell us about it.
We sort of chose the question. The first original one was, how far will AI go? And then we were thinking about how, just say you're working at Coles or Woolies, and then someone comes in and says, I'm sorry, you can't work here anymore. Here's your final paycheck. We've got robots to take over your jobs. And we think we maybe should be concerned because that will lead to lots of unemployment.
Just, if you want to make a comment, just put your finger up, and then whoever has the microphone can decide where it goes. Okay, so.
Like in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I think it was the remake. But the Charlie's dad, he loses his job at the toothpaste factory because unscrewing on the lids because a machine was doing it for him, and so they couldn't get any money.
Well, we probably shouldn't be that concerned about AI because it can't hurt us because we program it to do everything. It can't create itself and without anyone. And, we are very smart people who know what they're doing. So I don't think we'll make any sort of mistake.
Okay, you've got a lot to choose from. Who are you going to get?
To add on to that, the computer doesn't only have the programmer's mind, but it also has perspective from everybody else. So it can be smarter than any one person, but the code, if somebody who's like a hacker or something could overwrite the good code to hurt us.
I think it will. At the end of Miles's question, he said they can't hurt us because we program them. That is right now, and for a start, there are bad people in the world, And then if one person makes the mistake of letting them learn themselves, letting them almost evolve themselves, the robots, then they can learn and decide to become a, I know this sounds far-fetched, but
Yeah.
become a
Can I ask Miles?
dominant
Is Miles?
species on the
Yes, Miles. Can you respond to that? Get the mic. Get the mic.
You know, like we it's very hard. It'll be really advanced technology for them to learn themselves to do a bunch of stuff. But like, I don't really know. I'm not an expert on this.
Okay, well
But-
maybe pass on to somebody
Okay.
else.
There have been examples in the past of AI picking up the behavior of people around it. So if people set a bad example for the AI by like saying certain things to it, the AI could repeat those things and kind of in a way gain sentience, but not entirely, seeing as it's just mimicking something. So that kind of goes into the fact that you said, like, we program it, it can't hurt us. But if the wrong people get a hold of like the ability to control what the AI says and does, then things could definitely go wrong.
To make a point for AI, it depends on how it's programmed. So if it was programmed in a different way, then we could control it. But if it's programmed in another way, then maybe we get out of control with it, and it does something that we don't want them to do.
Yeah. There's this question here, isn't there, about learning for themselves, right? A computer learning for itself. Is that where the danger is?
Yeah, because then they can almost, it sounds again unrealistic, but they can almost take over in all of our jobs and in our lives, and they can become dominant over us, and because they're machines, they can learn and build themselves, but we have natural evolution, and if they pass us in intelligence, then humans can be in a bit of trouble. And one person decides to do that, that one robot can then almost get smarter and build more. I know in the future, in the next 1,000 years, it could happen, because that computer was in 1949. Right now, we've got technology that is way beyond that, and we're advancing faster.
Right.
So it's not out of.
So you're. Am I right here? You're saying, you know, things change and evolve and they get more and more powerful. Is that right? And
Yeah.
and we saw that, did we, today? Because we saw the CSIRAC, right?
And again,
Okay. And then we compare that to this computer.
And
Right.
again, if
Yeah.
they
Try handing on the mic to somebody who hasn't spoken yet. Right? Somebody who hasn't said anything yet.
So I was discussing with my dad, and my dad told me that some people have a fear that if robots get more intelligent than humans, they might make their own choices. For example, maybe maybe the robot's going crazy, and then the human's like, oh, I'm gonna switch this robot off, and then the robot might go, oh, I don't want to be switched off, and then he keeps going crazy, and then all of a sudden he starts other robots, and maybe even if that robot gets even more intelligent, then it might start to program robots without humans even asking it to. And even I saw this movie, but it might actually happen. It's that a robot had its own like a mind of its own, and then it started doing whatever it wanted, and then started learning, and then it could have done lots of damage.
Right.
I don't remember the name of the
I think
movie.
there's a lot of movies that have that as a plot. So somebody who hasn't spoken yet.
Well, another thing where they could learn themselves, in the artificial intelligence thing, in the exhibit thing, it said that there was a robot that learned to get better the more checker games it played.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that even then, robots could learn to do things better just because they've done something more.
Look, someone murdered someone.
Yep.
So
Then
the
they could
robot
see
might
that
start
and then
learning
do
too,
that.
because
So we know robots can learn. Is that right?
If they see someone
Doing
murder someone, say,
Mm.
that they might start.
Hang on, you haven't got the mic. Really, you need the mic to be able to speak. Okay. So who are you passing it on to?
Pass it on to someone else.
I agree with most of you, and I think that, well, you have to, it might become a problem, but then you also have to think about what would happen first. Like, if you create a robot that can learn on its own, you'll probably start to think, well, should I, like, you would probably have to go to the government and then, like, ask for, like, permission to send it out of, like, where it stays. So I don't think that any of this would happen, because I think if technology got this advanced, the government would probably do something to make sure that it doesn't go crazy.
Okay. To somebody who hasn't spoken yet.
Well, some like AI could like make their own choices, and
Right.
and as like they said, we said that like they could come and take over our jobs, like in Coles or Woolies or something like that. If they start to take over, they can. If you ask them, can you do that? They might be able to say no if like the way you program it, because some of them could, like as I said, they can make their own choices.
Right. So their choice might be to say no. Is that
Yeah,
what
like it's kind of like, so if their choice could be something bad, like if they see something that they think that a human did that they think is fine,
Oops.
then they might think that that's a good thing, and then they'll decide to do it without knowing.
So they could avoid bad choices. Is that what you're saying?
We kind of.
Yeah. How?
Well,
How do you avoid bad choices?
I kind of know what a bad choice is.
So how does the robot know what's
It's
a
like,
bad
and maybe
choice?
because like if you see other people do it and then you see them get in trouble or something bad happens to them after they did that thing, you don't want to do it anymore because you don't want that to happen to you.
So they can learn through the consequences of their choices. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, okay. Some other people want to add.
I would just like to say we're focusing on the should we be concerned part,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking how far will the AI go? Imagine 50, 60 years into the future and this room, sitting back in this room when you're older, and everything here is touch pads. They're like, some people are robot students sitting in here. There are, the camera is a different type of camera completely. And I think AI will go very far, and we should be concerned because I think we're very lazy people. Then we'll get robots to do stuff for us. If we don't want to pick up the garbage, we'll go, Mr. Robot, go pick up the garbage for me. And we'll get more lazy and lazy. And when the robots, they'll learn through listening to us and listening how we react, that different things. So if they try to rebel against us, they will know that we have become soft and lazy. So we won't really put up a fight because of the robots.
Okay, Abby has had her hand up for a long time. Abby, what do you want to say?
So at the beginning of your question, you said that, so when you were explaining it, you said that basically AI could lead to unemployment, but the AI itself needs people to create it, and that can open up job opportunities. And if we restrict, if we have a certain amount of robots only allowed, but we keep creating them for more technology, it can lead to more jobs, and it can still be safe for the public with only a restricted amount of robots.
Okay, so unemployment might not be a problem,
Yeah.
you're saying. So should we be concerned? Unemployment is one thing we've identified, isn't it, right? And another thing is robots rebelling against us, right? And another thing we've identified is they might make bad choices and do things that are wrong. Is that right? We've identified that. What other possible problems are there if AI gets better and bigger and smarter? Some ideas. So pass.
Well, this is about the unemployment, but
Yep.
we could program robots to make other robots, and so then those jobs would soon close down. And then if we can make robots to be able to think for themselves, then a lot of other jobs will close down, because at the moment robots can't think, and then they make choices that they are programmed to do, but they can't communicate or solve problems. But if we get them to think, it's not, I can solve a problem if something goes wrong. So if I knock a glass of water over, my response to that, I think, and I would get some tissues and mop it up.
Right.
But a robot isn't programmed to do that. But then if they can think, then they can make their own choices, and then they could start to take over more jobs.
So you're making a distinction between being programmed and thinking for themselves, right? So you're saying being programmed, let me try and get this right, and it comes back to this very first comment here, that we control them, we program them, right? So if robots are programmed, is this right? Then they won't do anything we don't want them to do. But the danger is if they shift from being programmed to thinking for themselves. Is that what you're saying? Are we agreed on that? This is where the danger is, when they think for them. So what's the difference between being programmed and thinking? Hang on, put your hands down a second. I want you to think about that question. What's the difference between being programmed to do something and thinking for yourself? Okay, you've got an idea. Joel. Get the mic first. Yeah.
Thank you. If you're programmed to do something, then you are. You know what you're going to do if this happens. You're not.
Who knows?
You're not responding yourself.
Right. So who knows what you're going to do?
Well, the people that program you know if something happens, then we made you do this response.
So the
but
programmer
if you're thinking,
knows
if
what
you're
the
thinking,
robot's going to do. Is
yes,
that what
but
you're saying?
yes, but if you're thinking for yourself,
Right.
then then it's not up to the programmer.
Okay.
You're not told what to do.
What are
I'm
you
going to
told?
say there's probably going to be laws around all this getting out of control, but one person has to. One person can make a robot that can think and make a huge difference. The world is expected to have 10 billion people by 2050. One out of 10 billion, which then we'll probably have the technology to do this. I know it seems soon, but we probably will. One person can do that.
Yeah. Okay. Who's next? Abby? Yeah.
So I think that the difference from being programmed and your own thinking is that when you're programmed, it's someone else's thinking.
We're going to have to speak louder because of all this noise next up. Okay, speak up a bit.
Well, it's like you're doing someone else's thinking. It's not actually yours. You're basically doing something for someone else.
Right. That's been programmed. Yeah. Okay. Who else wants to have some say here? Nikki.
So being programmed to do something is like doing an action that someone else is telling you to do, but being programmed to think is your own choice, but in your brain, and saying, should I do this, or should I listen, or...
So can a robot do that?
It depends.
It depends. I want you to think about this the other way around. Have you been programmed, or do you think for yourself?
We have been programmed, but we can
Hang on.
do
You
other
need
stuff.
the mic, right? And Nikki's deciding where the mic goes, okay?
Well, we technically are well, we're not programmed, but we are, because we can make our own decision. But usually, like your mum or your dad might tell you, go clean your room or something like that. You might go do it, or you might not. So it's you're kind of like your mum or your mum or your dad is programming you during your during your life, but it's not really programming because you can make your own decision. So it's kind of in the middle.
All right. So who agrees that we are sort of programmed? Who agrees that we think for ourselves? Without any programming? Oh, you're not unsure. Claire, what can you give Claire why are you unsure here?
I mean, she is right. We do, a lot of our decisions are influenced by the decisions of our parents and what they've taught us. But we also have free will and the ability to make decisions for ourselves. I know for one that if my mum says, clean your room, I'm either going to do it straight away or say, I'll do it later, and then procrastinate until I get in trouble. So we can make decisions for ourselves, but we are a little bit programmed in the sense that we do get told to do things. So, yeah.
I don't think we're programmed. I think we're influenced by media, families, friends, a bunch of other things. But the thing is, we have singularity. We have our brain, and we have will. If your mum tells you, hey, tonight I want you to jump off a cliff. You're not going to jump off a cliff, you know? Your body instinctively has, it's your instinct to not jump off a cliff, is what I'm saying.
Instinct? Where does instinct fit into this?
it's part of you. Like, you're not gonna jump off a roof. It's like, no matter how much I think your parents or your friends or like anyone says you to do something, sometimes you've got to make your own decision, and I think that's what separates us from robots.
Right, so we are separated from robots because robots are programmed and we can think. Is that right? We have free will. We're not really programmed, but rather influenced. Is that what we're saying? You're uncertain. Toby? Why?
Well, I think so because, if you say, if my mum says, clean your room, and let's say I don't do it, if I get in trouble, the negative reinforcement is sort of going to make me want to clean my room. Because if I don't, I'm going to get in trouble, or I'm going to have to do something that's not very good. So it would only be thinking if there was no negative reinforcement or positive reinforcement, just pure...
Thinking is separate from reinforcement, are you saying?
Yeah, reinforcement sort of guides you into making the right choices, because if you don't, you get reinforcement. And
But if it's guiding you, isn't it affecting your thinking?
Yeah, well, it is. It's sort of affecting your thinking, because then you're not going to think, oh, I'm still going to clean my room. I'm still not going to clean my room. If you know that you're going to get in trouble or that something bad's going to happen. So you can, as you just said, you can still decide, but if you decide the wrong thing, it will sort of make you next. Like when I'm telling my dog not to do his thing in the wrong place, if I get him in trouble every time he does it in the wrong place, then he'll eventually start doing it in the right place and keep doing it in the right place.
But couldn't this happen to robots too? How are robots different from us here?
Robots, I don't believe that robots are different from us. In this stage, they are, because we haven't got the technology to tell the robots, you are meant to keep peace around the world in any way possible, do this in your own will. So right now, I think robots are very different from us. So because
right now,
yeah, but in the future, I feel like robots will become more like us, and they will still be able. And I believe in the future it will be hard to tell the difference between a robot and a person.
So is this idea of evolution, that robots are evolving?
Yeah, I feel like the robots are a lot more different than us.
Yeah. Okay, Jessica, is it Jessica? Yeah.
Well, I feel like we're sort of programmed because we're all born a different way, we're all unique, and we all have different responses to different problems, and I might take one response and then Annika might take another, and so we all do different things in different situations because we're all born a different way.
So you're saying we're programmed by the way we are born?
Yes, sort of.
Ah, okay. So it's not just our parents who program us, but the way we're born. We're already programmed when we're born. Is that your idea?
Sort of. And then you can be sort of changed as you go along by different things that happen in your life.
Okay, so we're changed by influences, by reinforcement, by the programming our parents. Ah, okay, interesting idea. Who's next?
Well, I agree with most people's points because our parents kind of, well, if your parents were bad people and they killed everyone, you'd grow up to think that's the right thing to do. Because your parents kind of program you partly because you also have your own opinions and your own choices, but your parents also choose things for you. when you're growing up, because that's how you learn. Because they can teach you to either learn they can teach you to learn what to do and how to do it. As in, if we had no parents and no one taught us anything, we wouldn't know anything.
Yeah. So, Ben, how's the time going? We're out of time. Yeah, I was thinking we're probably getting close. Look, I'm sorry, I can see there are a lot of other people who would like to say something here, but this is the puzzle we're left with here, isn't it? How are we different from robots, you know? As Joel says, maybe robots are not there yet, but are they going to evolve to a position where they're like us? I mean, that's the question. And if they are, should we be concerned? I'm sorry, Joel, there's two Joels, right? Okay. I'm going to have to cut it off there because Ben's giving me the evil eye. But no, there's a puzzle to think about. How are we different from robots? Could robots be just like us in the future? If so, should we be worried? Okay, thanks guys, that was really interesting.